this is Trinity, and I'm going to talk about the 12-step program because, well, I grew up as a young child in 12-step meetings. For like 5 years of my young childhood, I was in a lot of meetings with my father, who has been in 12-step almost my whole life now. And, I think he's done a lot of good for a lot of people. That's what I want to say before I go into all my kind of complaining story. I want to do the disclaimer of 12-step has done a lot of good for a lot of people. And that's wonderful. There's a lot to the program, and I think the experience that you're going to have in that program is really influenced by the group you attend. There are groups that are very helpful, and there are groups that can be incredibly destructive and just do harm. So let me go into this. Okay. So I've also experienced 12-step as an adult, not just as a child. I've gone to a variety of different kinds of meetings. So, a large variety. And, what I see that I don't like about the 12-step program, here's my complaint, is it feels like sometimes, people they're feeding off each other's pain. There seems to be, there's a lot of ego and this one-upmanship of this, comparing horrific stories, and I have mixed feelings about this because it can be beneficial to tell your stories and stuff, but when it becomes kind of egotistical and we're just swapping our stoner stories, then I don't think it's like we're spinning our wheels. I don't think we're really get into deeper stuff and some of that aspect of the group. So there's some groups I've been to that are like downtown areas where people are working and they need to get to a group because they need to get their little piece of paper signed. So I remember this one group, it was in a big huge room that was attached to a church or something downtown Sacramento, and that group, a lot of old timers, a lot of old men. They were so bland and boring. I'm sorry, I know you were trying, but it's the majority of people in attendance. There was a lot of people in that room. It was a big meeting, and the majority of people were there to get their piece of paper signed for court. And they had really, they didn't have the investment into the program. Let me put it up like that. Okay, so there's that. The other groups I've been to was, there was a 12-step for a sex addiction. Okay, and this is a difficult one because you got to separate the men and women, and then where do the trans people go? Who knows? Because there was this sex addiction group that was being held in a middle school classroom after hours. And I walk into the classroom, and it's all men. Okay. And you have to go to that meeting to get the referral to go to the women's group because that's probably a secret location and harder to find. And so I walk into this classroom after hours, and there's all these men in this room, and they have the desk. They have their desk in a circle, all spaced 6 feet apart. This was years ago. And it was just because it was that specific group that needed to have their desks separated, and they were so uncomfortable with me there because I may have had similar issues, but my experience was a little different. And yeah. So yeah, that was incredibly awkward. I never did find the Prostitutes Anonymous group. That's buried. I think that's definitely a private location, and then word gets out where they're holding that meeting, and then men flock there. Yeah. There was this other meeting house in Sacramento that it was so divey. It was in a really bad neighborhood, and it had the meeting room, and next to it there was this. It was a bar. There was a non-alcohol bar. They had they made burgers and stuff in there. They had a pool table. It was kind of cool. I liked the place. It was cool. I wonder if they're still open. I hope so, because it was a divey place, but it was pretty cool. So I experienced a lot of different 12-step from my different perspective, and I didn't. My problem where I've hung up is, of course, on the sex. Here, Bill W. that started 12-step. He's the original 13th stepper, and 13th stepping is when a newcomer comes to a meeting. They're incredibly vulnerable. They're breaking down and their life's falling apart and they want to get help. And, it's really common for people to take advantage of the newcomer and just have sex with them, which is like the last thing you want to do to somebody that's that vulnerable. That's not appropriate. And the fact that Bill W. was the original one to prey on the vulnerable in his own program, that's a big conflict for me. It's hard for me to get past that, I guess. I still feel there's definitely value to the program in the right environment with the right group of people that you get to know and feel safe with, and the problem is that vulnerability of the newcomer, that aspect that's troubling for me, and also I feel like it's a little cult-like. I mean, it's like a little sprinkling of a culty aspect. So that's how I feel about the 12-step program, and